Hi. Um, I kind of have an idea for a, a topic that's going to sound a little, okay, I presume it's going to sound a little disjointed, but it makes sense to me. Um, which is sort of how our self perceptions are not necessarily in any way, shape, or form reality. Um, so, a few sort of, again, disjointed concepts. Um, First of all, in my life, I'm having work done on my apartment, and my lease says that I'm only allowed one cat, um, and I have two. So one of them is staying with my son for the week, and I thought it wouldn't affect my other cat at all, and I was totally shocked. He was so depressed. They don't get along. They don't like hang out with each other. Um, they're never like next to each other. They generally only interact when they're fighting. I actually got my second cat. I got Lily because the vet told me when Poppy was by himself that she couldn't prescribe it, but if she could, she would prescribe me getting a second cat for him to be with. I was like, all right. So he's outlived quite a few of my cats. He's still my youngest cat that I've had. Well, except, I mean, I got Perry as a kitten, but he's the orange one. And I had him for years and years, but other than Perry the kitten, he's, was the youngest for the longest time. Anyway, he definitely was hanging. I think we had 5 or 6 cats at one point, and he was one of the crew. And he liked it, and so he's outlived them. And so I, at the vet's direction, got Lily, but they never really bonded, and because he was really, really tight with 2 of my other cats, with Perry and with Percy. They were like buddies, hanging out all the time, and he clearly missed them. So the difference between how he would hang out with them versus how he interacts with Lily is like nothing. And so, but he's seen them all leaving, and what they usually leave is I take them to the vet in the middle of the night because they're having some sort of crisis and they don't come back. Well, Lily, I took her in the middle of the night because basically I'm trying to smuggle her out. I mean, they've left every time they've left before, they've left together. Like if I go on vacation for an extended time, they're together. But Lily, I had to have a cat here, but I only needed for there to be one cat here. So he clearly thought that she died. And he was clearly depressed, like not eating. And this is my big boy, and he wasn't eating. He's come around relatively quick, acting a little bit more normal, but clearly affected. And I didn't expect that. I really didn't. And Lily, I even told my son, I don't think that she's going to miss me. And he's like, no, she definitely misses you, because when I call, she hears me on the phone and runs right over. And I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, they're cats. I don't get it. The other thing that really struck me this week was I saw somebody had said that the avoidant person in a relationship is the one with all the power, because they can leave, and they do leave. Now, I'm pretty sure they're talking about avoidant attachment type versus avoidant personality disorder, but it just struck me. It's like, what? And that kind of might be true. I mean, the last videos, the one I took down and the one that I actually put up and kept up. I mean, the thing is that right now, I don't know if it's worldwide, but in the US anyway, they talk about it all the time, that it is cuffing season. Is when people are like, oh, the holidays are coming up. I want to have a person to spend with the holidays. And I've come to the conclusion that's what's happening. Because the video I sent out last week was like, it's not vibes that you're putting out. I don't freaking know. I mean, it's still happening. So I don't like it. Again, I'm having work done on my place, and it's not my choice. And the guy that came to work was like, oh, you live by yourself, and oh, let me tell you about my daughters and my ex-wife, and started hitting, and then he goes, well, I'm not flirting with you. You know, because if he says it, then therefore that's accurate, and he wouldn't get in trouble if I reported him. But I was like, ugh. Anyway, regardless, in this case, regardless, you know, maybe if it's an avoidant an avoidant attachment, they would leave. An avoidant personality person, they never start anything. Is that power? Is that what's going on? Because it's like, if on our perspective, on my perspective, it is the opposite of powerful. This compulsion. But is that the perception that people have of us? That we're being powerful and exerting our power, but being alone and not interacting with people? And another thing that happened, which again, I'm like, what, how are these threads? In my mind, these are all together, but whatever. I have another person I know that was having a problem with work. And I was like, okay, well, why don't you tell them? I mean, it's definitely a joke, but why don't you tell them to get in touch with me, and then I'll give you the bad news and I'll have a buffer. And he was like, yeah, and if you ever had anything to do with my job or anything like that, I would never have anything to do with you again. And again, I mean, there we go. There's the lost thing again. But I mean, and that was not like a threat. Like, it was more like, oh, yeah, I have to have people in little separate bubbles. And if they intermingle, then that's it. That can't happen. And it wasn't even, you know, it was like, it was sort of a protective thing. Like, I'm going to protect you by letting you know that you can't cross these boundaries. And you know, I'm telling you, heads up, don't cross these boundaries, because if you cross these boundaries, then all bets are off. Now, is that the power thing? I don't think it is. Because it really came off as, oh, please don't do this, because then I will have no options but. And that is the opposite of power. I don't know. Those are the three things that sort of came up. And I've had a crazy week, and I haven't really been able to think of how to integrate them all. But they feel all the same to me. Those three things feel the same. This distance that, I mean, I don't know, first I was talking about a cat, but seriously, this distance that I have to have in my life. And the fact that other people or animals don't have that need and compulsion. And so their perception of what's going on is very radically different, maybe, than what mine or maybe yours is. And I'm not saying that they're right and I'm wrong. And I'm not saying that you should put that sort of thing out there, to think that somebody else is wrong and or you are wrong and they're right. I don't know. Whatever. That's not the point. The point is just to keep in mind that, hey, Pop, that there could be a different perception, that other people could be thinking about things differently than you. And to not, again, not putting the right and wrong, but different is possibility. And so, I mean, if you've got something going on in your life and you really just can't with it anymore, and you think it's absolutely set in stone, a lot of things in this world are more flexible than what we think they are. And as a matter of fact, somebody else could be in the exact same situation and be just complete opposite of the way that you're thinking about something. And so it is possible. What are you doing, Cap? It is possible that that you could, not that you should, not that it would be helpful, but possible that you could have a different sort of perception outlook on what's going on in your life. And that this rock solid, especially interacting with people. I mean, it's, you know, they talk about like rose-colored glasses type things, that maybe, you know, we have this avoidant sort of set of way of looking at things. It's that sort of thing. That maybe things are not as set in stone as we think. And maybe, see, again, I don't, you know, making assumptions. I mean, you know what they say about making assumptions. Makes an ass out of you and me. Haha. Making assumptions about motivations. I mean, the thing is that is part of being a person with avoidant personality disorder, is that you're constantly on guard and trying to figure out how the world is working so that you can cope with the world better. You know, it's a self-protection type thing. But try to be aware of when you are making those kind of sort of judgment calls about what's happening, what's possible in this world. Because, again, it's protecting you. That's great. But it could very well be limiting you. And it could very well be that you are really, truly insulting people in your life because they are thinking something radically different from what you are thinking on their behalf. You know, but this person, like I said, who is aware of the boundaries and that this is where each person should be. I mean, that's another thing that's actually really, as sad as it is that you can't push past these boundaries. If you have those boundaries, being aware of them and giving people a heads up about them is actually very caring. It's protecting yourself so that you don't lose a relationship of any sort, because they're doing things that you just cannot tolerate for whatever reason. You're also saving the other person, because if they step in a mine and don't realize the mine is there, they'll be like, what the heck happened? You're suddenly gone. That sort of thing. Anyway, I hope any of that made sense. Hopefully next week it will be more coherent, the video. I'll be back then. Bye.